Hello everyone, my name is Stacey K. Roach and I'm here with you guys today for a new episode of the Rebrand and Rebuilding Community. I'm here with you guys today with a special guest. I'll let her introduce herself, but before we jump in on that, I know I've been getting a lot of questions about how I do what I do, but I have to take this time out to just let you guys know I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Anchor by Spotify. It's one of the easiest ways to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me break down how my day goes. Anchor has the tools that I need. It allows me to record and edit my podcast right from my phone and my computer. And it's a lot of times where I'm on the go, I'm in my car. My car is my office. So it's times that I'll record from my phone and I'm like, okay, I made a mistake. I need to edit. And I could do that right from my phone. But it's best work with the computer, and you can still get things done though on your phone. It's real quick and easy, simple steps. When hosting on Anchor, you can also distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasting, and so much more. It's everything you need to make your podcast all in one place. People think I'm tripping, but you gotta check it out. You have to try it for yourself. Best of all, Anchor is totally free. Me getting started and not having a lot of money, Anchor was one of the best things that helped me build my podcast, and start getting more listeners. And even now I'm getting interviews. I'm really doing my thing. It's because of Anchor. Don't forget to download Anchor, you guys. It's in your app store. You can also go to anchorfm.com. That's it. You know what? I said .com. It's not even .com. It's just Anchor FM. Let me get that right. You see how I had to correct myself? Anchor.fm. Download it today, you guys. It's a great help. Like I said, people wonder how I do what I do, but this is how I do what I do. Anchor FM. That's it. It's in your your Apple store. You go to Apple Store or Google Play Store and you can just download it. Thanks. But we're going to jump right in with our special guest. Give us one moment. We're going to get there with you guys.
I'm ready. I'm Lindsey Davis, and I am so excited to be talking to Stacey. You would not believe the trouble that we've had in getting this discussion going. But you know what they say, good things come to those who wait, and I've waited. As I said, I'm Lindsey Davis, and recently, I guess within the last 6 years, I went on a journey to learn to love myself. And as a consequence, I changed my relationship with food and ended up being able to not only lose, but keep off almost 100 pounds. And I tell people that if I would have known how hard the journey was going to be, I don't know that I would have ever started. But like anything that's hard, if we start and we believe, we can keep moving forward. So that's what I believe, because I finally am able to talk to Stacey, and she has such an amazing podcast. If you're not already subscribed, hurry up.
Yes, please do that. Yes. So I have a question. What led you to this journey of self-discovery, to eating healthy and choosing healthier foods? What got you to that point?
Well, like so many people, I had, one of those moments where I don't want to say that I was at rock bottom, because I feel like that's tempting the fates to say, okay, you thought that was rock bottom. I was, at one of those low points, and I recognized I could either keep going the same way that I was going, which was not in a good direction, or I could make the decision to get healthy physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I chose to get physically healthy, mentally to get healthy. And in order to give myself a visual of this decision, I drove a literal stake in the ground with the date on it, and it's sitting in my flower bed. as a reminder, you drove a stake in the ground. There is before you made your decision, and everything else is after you made your decision. But like I said, if I would have known that how hard the work was going to be, I don't know that I would have started, but grateful that I did not know. Because when we start tackling the hard issues and looking at ourselves and start admitting, to ourselves where we can improve and the things that we weren't doing quite so well, we can go one of two ways, either, deny or accept and say, how can I do better?
Yes. And that's another thing. I know you have a book that you've written recently, and you talk about that in the book. So what led you to the path of writing that book?
I realized that there was somebody else out there. There was another me out there. And also people kept asking me the same questions over and over again. So I decided to write the book, which is called You Can't Eat Love, yes. How Learning to Love Yourself Can Change Your Relationship with Food. And interestingly, a counselor read the book for me before I published it. And she said, this could be called You Can't Drink Love, You Can't Drug Love, whatever, because it's not about dieting. It's really about learning to love yourself.
Yes. That's another thing. We have, even including myself, we want to live up to the American dream. We want to go to school, of course, graduate, get a great career within our field. And we want to us, the modern success of the American family, that's what all we know. We don't know, let me stray out and do it my own way. And we all want to have a decent 9-to-5 that pays well with great health benefits, and you want to support your family. Of course, you want to take care of things. You want to live. You want to travel. But a lot of times we get caught up in the 9-to-5. We get caught up in trying to live the life that everybody else is living instead of living our own best life. So how did you not get caught up in your career, your family, and having to support them? Like, what was something that, you say, well, this is enough is enough?
Well, interesting that you should ask that question, because when I started on the journey, one of the things that I realized is that for the previous 17 to 20 plus years, I had been sacrificing myself on the altar of somebody else, because I was working so many hours, working for somebody else's benefit, somebody else's pocketbook, and I wasn't receiving the benefit of it. And at the same time, I was depleting my own resources. I was not taking care of myself, and my family also sacrificed. But at the same time, I was also sacrificing myself on the altar of my family, because I did not know what I do know now. And if people are listening, if they take away one thing, this is the one thing I want you to take away. It is not selfish to take care of yourself before you take care of everybody else. That is the most selfless thing you can do.
Yeah, because if you're not okay, like I see that you mentioned in your bio, it's like if you're taking an airplane and something happens and you have to put on your oxygen mask. If you don't save yourself, you're not going to be able to save anyone else. So how did you come about using that as as your motto? I mean, I love that, because I've taken a few flights and they do tell you to put your oxygen mask on first, or you'll be dead before you can even help your neighbor.
Well, it took, realizing that what I was doing was chasing everybody else around, trying to make sure that they were okay, trying to make sure that they had everything they needed. And it was to the detriment of my own self. I had nothing left to give, and then I was angry because people weren't giving to me.
They were just taking.
And I happened to stumble across a YouTube video, and like you, I've flown a fair amount, and I just ignore the people when they start doing, the story about, the oxygen mask and the life jacket and all that stuff. I could practically give the speech myself. But I came across this YouTube video that said you have about 30 seconds. And I was like, holy cow. No wonder I'm laid out in the aisle because, think about it. 30 seconds and you're spending all that time putting everybody else's oxygen mask on. You're going to be laid out in the aisle. The plane is going to land.
Yep.
They're going to step over you on their way off the plane and say, there's that nice person. And where are you going to be?
Yep.
Where are you going to be? Now, here's where the real light bulb came on for me. The oxygen does not stop flowing just because I don't get it onto the other person. Mm-hmm. I get my oxygen mask on first. The oxygen is flowing to me. That gives me time to do what needs to be done to help the other people get their oxygen mask on and make sure that the oxygen is flowing to them so that everybody wins.
Yes. I love that. When I read that on your bio, I was like, you know what? I remember, like I said, taking a few flights and them explaining that. But up until me start taking a few flights and talking with you, I would have been the type of person that put on everyone else's oxygen mask, and I would have been the one that everyone walked over to get off the plane and be like, well, you know what? There's that nice lady that helped me, because throughout my life, I was a people pleaser. I had this thing of perfectionism. Like I wanted everyone to think I was perfect, and I wanted everyone to be like, you know what? She's so considerate. She's so kind. She's always thinking of other people. But I never stopped to think about myself. And it wasn't up until the separation and divorce that I was forced to spend time alone, and I was forced to look at, what is it that I really want out of life, and who's going to take care of me. And, I had to really think about a lot of things. And up until that point, like I said, I was a people pleaser. I depleted myself with taking care of family, friends, to the point where I had nothing left. But besides the Dodge Grand Caravan that I was living out of and $35 to my pocket. All the friends that I thought I had up until the separation and divorce, I didn't really have. They was only around because I was taking care of them. And then when I could no longer take care of them, I was left to be alone and had to figure things out for myself. So I'm pretty sure you've experienced similar things, as you mentioned, to being depleted by your family. But how did you feel? And what, like I said, what were some things that you used? And I know you talk about it a little bit in the book, but what advice would you give someone that falls under people pleasing and trying to save everyone else but themselves?
Well, I was in the same boat. I thought, I needed to take care of everybody else, that, my worth, my value, my purpose for existing on planet Earth was to take care of everybody else. But now, listen to this. Society teaches that to us, especially females. Mm-hmm. Society teaches, and if you watch, TV shows, movies, things like that, it's a female who's running around and taking care of everybody. Mm-hmm. And if she's not, well, oh my gosh, you can throw out whatever labels you want to throw out. But the truth of the matter is, you are not serving anyone by not taking care of yourself. Because the thing that I came to recognize is I had my value, my worth tied up in how many people I was helping, how many people I was saving. Mm-hmm. And the crazy realization was I was often trying to save people who did not need to be saved.
Yeah. Well, they were taking from you and they really didn't need it, and then that was leaving you with nothing left. I've been there.
And then, what I learned, what I discovered is I taught people how to treat me. Okay, now I'm going to repeat that again. We teach people how to treat us. How do we do that? By the language that we allow them to speak to us, mm-hmm. by the behaviors that we accept without comment, and by allowing them to run over us and not hear our wishes, desires, yearnings, values, any of that kind of stuff. If we are silent and don't stand up for ourselves, we are teaching people that it is okay to run over us, to make the demands. It is okay for them to take from us
without giving.
The expectation of giving back.
Yeah, and you know what, even in a lot of relationships as women, and I found myself doing the same thing where I always got into codependent relationships where they depended on me to make them happy, where they depended on me to make sure they ate and make sure, just make sure everything that they needed was taken care of. I found myself getting into relationships, friendships, everything like that. And like I said, if it wasn't up until my divorce, separation, I was forced to be by myself. That's when I started to take care of myself. And I had never just really out just taking care of myself. That was the first time in 31 years out here on this earth. That was the first time that I started to, perceive things to be different. Like, okay, you know what? I need to start putting all this self-love, all the love that I show everyone else, I need to start putting that into me. I need to start showing myself love. I need to start loving on me. I need to start taking care of me. And I need to start doing things that's going to make me happy, that's going to give me joy. And I had a lot of people, friends, family, that were like, oh, you're being really selfish. And I was like, okay, now I'm being selfish because I'm deciding to give myself everything that I was giving you. I've set boundaries. And when you start to set healthy boundaries around your life, your career, your relationship, you lose out on a lot of people. But I feel like you lose out on the people that they profited and benefited from you being naive and not knowing any better. So when they start to see that, okay, well, she's not going to take that anymore, and she's just not going to give and give and give until she has nothing left, they'll start falling by the wayside. You'll start really seeing who your true friends are, who's your true partner in life is. Like I said, I had a lot of people that they stopped dealing with me. And I was like, at first I was hurt about it. And then I was like, you know what? I didn't need you anyway. If anything, you needed me.
Well, exactly, because what we've done is we've tied up our value and how many people we can help. We've tied up our value in,
I did.
Racing to put out everybody else's fire. And what I did not do, was I did not take care of my own self. And then you build resentment on the inside.
Yes.
Resentment does build up because you're thinking, okay, I did all these things for all these people. Where are they? It's almost like the story of the Little Red Hen who asked, everybody, will you help me plant the seeds? And they say no. And then she said, so she plants them, and then, she harvests, and then she makes the bread. And each time they say, no. Well, then when she sits down to eat the bread, they all show up.
Everybody wants a piece after that.
Exactly. So, the people who really and truly do not care about you are only going to show up when you're putting the hot bread on the table.
Yep.
And what I discovered was I had abandoned myself. And in the abandoning of myself, I was not loving or taking care of myself. And it was only when I started listening to myself and I started setting the boundaries, as you mentioned, and I started taking care of myself that I started observing people who were giving me pushback.
Yeah.
And I would have to have conversations with myself, how important is this person in my life? Mm-hmm. And if they weren't important, you know what? I didn't need them. I never really had. And here's the other thing. If they're giving you pushback and they're arguing with you about the changes that you're making, and they're not encouraging and loving and kind and all that, you did not need that person in your life in the first place.
Correct.
You really didn't. You just thought you did.
Yes.
You thought you did.
I agree.
It's like thinking that you need that, fabulous LL Bean parka down here in Houston, Texas, where we have maybe 14 days of cold weather, and really most people down here don't even own a coat. But it's the same thing. When I started loving myself and being kind to myself and listening to myself, I was really surprised at the number of people that I was willing to release from my life because they were not serving me.
Yeah, I agree. I find that to be fascinating. Like I said, I went through it myself, and it was a hard pill to swallow because at first I didn't want to be left alone. And then I realized, and then, like you said, I had to accept accountability that I was tying my self-worth into everyone I was helping. I felt like I wasn't doing enough, or I wasn't a good person if I didn't look out for someone, if I didn't have their back, if I didn't help them pay this bill, and like I really felt like, okay, I could do better, or I need to do better by them. They're my friends, they're my family, they would do it for me. And a lot of times, no, they won't do it for you. So until I owned up to that, and and like you said, and took my power back, and started to realize, you know what, I'm worthy regardless if I'm dealing with them or not. Especially if I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do, and I'm handling my responsibility, I'm taking care of my children, I'm going to work on time, I'm doing my job, I'm fantastic. That's my worth. I felt like it took a long time for me to know my self-worth. Like I got into relationships, I got married because I didn't know my self-worth. I didn't love myself.
Well, and the other thing that I hope that people can understand, which I recognize, is there's only one person that I'm in control of, and that's me. Mm-hmm. I am not in control of anybody else. So, for example, I make a choice, and maybe somebody else disagrees with it. Well, you know what? It is okay. They are entitled to their opinion. They are entitled to disagree. But what they are not entitled to is to throw a dadgum temper tantrum because I've made a choice.
Yep.
Because I can only control me. They can control them. And as long as I keep reminding myself, so for example, how many times do you say, well, so-and-so made me mad when they did X, Y, Z?
Before, now, like I said, now that I've been working on that, and I've been making it where I create my own reality. And if someone comes and they says or does something that makes me upset, that I'm allowing them, I'm giving my power away, I'm allowing them to take me to that point. So I had to learn the hard way.
We make a choice. Okay, something happens, somebody does something, somebody says something. We can choose how we react, but they cannot make you anything except reservations for dinner.
Yep. Yes, I agree. You know what? I love that you said that, because I have incidents that happen all the time. And just last week, I had an incident that occurred where we kind of got some pushback and we kind of got delayed. And I got upset and I got frustrated, and I took it out on another person. And at first I was like, oh, you made me do that because you said this, so I said that. And then I had to, later on that day, I really had to think back and be like, you know what? They didn't make me do anything, just like you said. Like it was up to me to react in any way, because the best response would have been no response. And I hate that I thought about that after the incident, but I agree. That's true.
But you know what? You don't hate that you thought about it after the incident, because I would celebrate that, because what that says is that you're growing, you're learning, you're practicing, you're becoming aware, so that the next time this thing comes up, something similar comes up, you probably will have a different reaction.
Agreed.
And the reason that you will have a different reaction is because you have a different awareness.
Yes.
But the primary thing is, no one can make you anything except reservations for dinner. Mm-hmm. Keep your power. Do not give it away. And make choices. You can choose to get angry. You can choose to get sad. You can choose all of these things. And all of those feelings and emotions are legitimate. But don't give the power to somebody else.
Yes. You know what? I want to mention this before we get off here. In a previous life, I dealt with a few people, and like, say you hold someone accountable for something, or you expect someone to do something, let's say that, and they don't do it, or they don't do it the right way, and you get disappointed. I felt like a lot of times I gave my power away by, first of all, expecting someone to do something that I should have done in the first place. And the second way I felt like, I felt like I gave my power away, and when it comes to disappointment, was just even expecting people, regardless, like you said, I can't control anyone else. They can say they'll do it and they'll be reliable and dependable, but at the end of the day, I don't have control over them. So yes, they can tell me something and then they don't do it, then now I'm upset and now I'm disappointed. Well, I've been learning to, when things don't work out as planned, or people don't hold, themselves accountable for things that they say they would do and they don't. I've been now finding little things or ways to get around that where, you know what, like, okay, that's fine, I'll handle it myself. You know, I've been handling it a little bit better, but I've been trying to find different little outlets that I can do to get away from the disappointment. And that's something, like, even with my clients, they come to me, and that's another one that I stumble across. I fall sometimes when it comes to disappointment because, like I said, having expectations for people. I've always heard, oh, you shouldn't have expectations. But if you tell me you're going to do something, I'm relying on you. So for you, I'm going to throw this out there. So what would you do if someone disappointed you and you know you was relying on them or depending on them to do something and they didn't do it? So how would you handle that situation?
Well, the first thing that I would do is I would get really, really clear with myself. Was I clear with my expectation? Mm-hmm. And if I was really clear with my expectation, then I would rehearse a conversation with the person. And in that conversation, I would say, you know, the other day we had this project and we had agreed that you were going to take care of, you know, hanging this piece of wallpaper while I was doing something else.
Yeah.
And I noticed that the wallpaper did not get hung in the time that, you know, we had agreed upon. And I am just a little bit frustrated. Can you please explain to me what happened and possibly even let me know how you're going to fix this? Now, you see, there's no accusation in there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There is an openness to, you know, give me some information. You know, maybe the glue didn't arrive. Maybe this didn't happen. Or it could be that in the past, you hadn't held them accountable. Mm-hmm. You may have thought you did, but you really didn't. So you taught them that it was okay because they knew if they didn't do it, you were going to pick it up and you were going to do it
yourself. Yes. Well, I find that happening a lot, and I'm like, you know what? I should have just did it myself.
Well, but you see that's not the thing to do because you're not teaching. Well, what you've taught them. This is where it gets crazy. What you have taught them is if they don't do something, they don't need to worry about it because you're going to come in and you may come in fuming and fussing and whatever, but you're going to do it. You are not going to hold them accountable to do it. They know if they can outweigh you that you're going to do it. Now, is that a win-win? Hell no.
No. You know what? A lot of my scenarios play out just the way you explained, and at the end of the situation or scenario plays out, I feel like I'm taken, or I feel like, you know, I feel hurt.
Of course, you have been let down.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is before you begin a project, before something starts, before anybody does anything, you have a clear conversation and say, okay, this is our plan. This is what I expect. You are going to, you know, hang the wallpaper, and I expect it to be hung by 5 o'clock. If you run into a problem, let me know. I will check on you in about, 2 hours after you get started, just to make sure everything is going well. And you're in charge of making sure that all the mops are washed out, and I expect that to be done by noon, because then I'm going to have another project for you. I'm going to check on you about midway through, make sure you have everything you need, and so on down the line. Okay, is everybody clear on what we are doing? You who are hanging the wallpaper, when are you supposed to be finished by? You who are cleaning the mops, when are you supposed to be finished by?
Okay, I like that. And for everyone out there listening, you gotta take notes. I'm taking notes on this. but seriously,
but you see, you're being clear. So then you do your part is you go and check on them after a certain period of time, not a long time, a short time. Okay. Hey, how's everything going? I just want to see, oh my gosh, look at that. That is so amazing. I really appreciate the care that you took with doing that. That is awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything you need right now? Do you need some water? Can I get some water for you so you don't have to stop? I'm happy to do that. What can I do for you? Or walk up to them with a bottle of water and say, here, I brought a nice cold bottle of water for you. Is there anything else you need?
Yes, I like that. And for the first things first is make sure you set clear intentions, expectations, so that way no one is, oh, I didn't understand, or I didn't hear you, or I did this. There's no excuse on why it didn't get done. First and foremost.
And then you give them positive feedback. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you have to make up something. Really, I don't. I do not care if you have to make up something. Because here's the secret to this. What you recognize is what they're going to continue doing. And just like the little kid that acts up in class continues to act up because they get negative reinforcement, people, grown adults, over the age of whatever, they do the same thing. Attention is attention. Mm-hmm. So let's notice the small things that they're doing well, and let's ignore the stuff that they're doing not so well.
Yes. And one more question before we get out of here. Now, on the same note, if you set clear intentions and you, like I said, you made sure everyone understood, and like I said, you threw them a rebuttal, asked them questions to make sure they understand, and they still don't get it right, what is your next step after that?
Can you tell me what went wrong? Okay. And how come why didn't you let me know early enough so that we could start taking steps to get this thing fixed? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then listen without accusation.
So before I'm coming in hot and like, okay, hey, why did you do this? And you should have did that, and you should have did that. So before I come in blaming and accusing, I need to first ask them, okay, so what's going on? Why isn't this done? Like you said that you understood me, and okay. I mean, no, I'm taking notes.
And I checked on you, and when I checked on you, you told me everything was okay.
Yeah. So what's going on with that? Okay.
Yeah, and then you stop. You just say it one time. Just, hey, can you tell me what's going on? And then you stop and you listen. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I love that.
Because people want to be heard. Yeah. I mean, it's the truth of the matter. People want to be heard.
Agreed.
But if you go in guns blazing, people are going to have their guard up, their defenses up. When you start doing this, are people going to look at you a little bit crazy? But you know what? You're not in control of them, so who cares if they look at you crazy? You're only in control of you, right?
You know
You are teaching them how to treat you. You are teaching them what your boundaries are.
Yes, I agree. I agree with everything you said. I'm glad that you gave me this feedback, because this is what I can use in my everyday life. So anyone out there that's listening, I hope you guys took notes, because this advice that she's giving right now, she's giving it for free. Eventually, you're going to have to pay for it. I'm just saying. But I'm glad that you said that, because I have to be honest. It's been a lot of times that I had expectations and I wasn't clear. And I'm starting to see, okay, just certain scenarios are playing back through my head. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I could have been a little bit more clear on that. And then, like you said, when you come in with guns blazing, no one's going to want to listen to you, because first of all, you're all fired up. Your energy is all over the place. It's heated. So people can feel that. And me personally, I'm the one that's going to come in guns blazing. I'm not going to ask you any questions.
Of course you are. But you see, you would have checked on them at a couple of points in the process. So they would be aware that you're checking on them. They would be aware that you are, engaged and paying attention. And so it's going to take some time, because again, you have to teach people how to treat you, and you have to teach people what your boundaries are.
Yes. And you know what? And being able to set healthy boundaries is something that's well and much needed in this world, for not just myself, but for every individual out there. And even if you're married, I'm pretty sure in the marriage, you guys should still have boundaries where your spouse, they know certain things to do and not to do, because they know you're not going to tolerate that. They know you're not going to deal with it. So I agree. And I'm so happy you took the time to come on here and speak to us. I love that. I'm appreciative. I'm grateful. We had a lot of hiccups, but we finally got it done. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And you keep doing what you are doing, because you are changing the world.
I am trying to, and I'm going to do my best. I'm staying consistent. Just learning how to balance everything out when it comes to work and business. So I'm getting there, and I'm proud. I'm so happy that everyone liked the Rebrand and Rebuilding community, because I didn't expect for it to take off and people to even I'm not gonna say I didn't expect for people to relate to it, because I know it's so many people, it's very relatable, but I just didn't expect for people to be that open and accepting of me and what I'm trying to do. So I have a lot of people that's supporting me, and I'm grateful, I'm thankful for it. So thank you again.
Oh, well, thank you.